Hello, my battalion and viewers. I'm the Knight of Arcane, and welcome to an interesting idea. You might remember that back last month I asked for character suggestions. This was the idea I had with the character suggestions. I'd put them all on a wheel, spin it 4 times, and whoever it landed on, I would then turn into a furry. It was a very, very random idea that I liked, decided to do it, and honestly, do like how they came out, more or less. A lot of them look really good. We might have more of this in the future, depending on how well this did. And I know some of you already suggested animal-less characters for this. The plan would have been I would change them into a different animal if I got them. Somehow, these came out really good, so let's check them out. Okay, let's do our first spin and see who we get. Okay, and Uzi Dormund is our first one. Okay, Uzi was the first one we spun and got. It probably helped that we got her because, one person only suggested Uzi, and another person also suggested Uzi. So they were on there quite a bit. Is it a bit cheating? Sorry if it is, but at the same time, I pretty much put every suggestion that was on there. If anyone else had also had, like 2 or so people, I would have definitely put them on also. But one thing with Uzi was, going into it, I didn't know entirely for sure what I wanted to do until, actually doing it. I had sketched some ideas out. I thought rabbit, I thought wolf or dog. In the end, I decided a bat. Because, I guess mostly because of, her wings when she gets them during cabin fever. Later on in the series. And I thought that would look pretty cool. There was some trouble with the head, trying to figure out some stuff. Especially because, robot mixing with it. Wings were also it, but we'll start with the head. There was a little bit of that, and also having some head shape stuff. But I like whatever I did. It somehow got it to work. Like the muzzle, I got the muzzle to work and all. And I like the nose. I don't remember the exact bat I was looking at. In fact, I think I was looking at multiple bats when trying to figure out the nose, because I wanted it to be a little more unique. And I want to say it's like a horn-nosed bat or something like that is what it's called. I don't know. I was choosing just something that I think looked good, and it surprisingly did. The wings were also a little bit hard because, they're not just straight on the back. I probably could have done that, but that seems also kind of boring and cheap. So I just put them on the arms. I can say that they also kind of look cheap, unfortunately, in a way, because they would probably work and look a different way, but I think somehow it still worked out pretty well. And this was surprisingly the first time I've worked with murder drones and Uzi. I need to try a few more things. I can probably figure out some stuff here and there I can do. And I didn't keep the normal proportions. I did more human proportions. If they were average size, not the murder drone size, which is a lot smaller than humans. There's also parts there's tufts of fur on the head, but it's also metal. How does that entirely work? That is above my pay grade, it seems. For a lot of the shading, especially on the wings and hair and the ears, I did kind of like what I do with animatronics, where I shade them with a charcoal brush, which I love doing that. It looks really good. Doing usually a darker, especially on the wings, darker on the top, up lighter on the edges and do that around. And also, I did make the feet kind of bat-like, even though they're still in boots or they're like elongated. And also at the end, you'll notice I do make like a little tail. I just draw it, no real lines, just kind of just straight colors because I forgot. And no, I didn't want to do the absolute solver like ones or whatever the one at the end, because I mean I probably still could have. I might come back and do another drawing with it at some point with that tail, because probably would still look pretty cool. But I just stuck with a little bat one. Though ironically, I did the eyes like they are at the end of Murder Drones. The details on the shirt were also a little hard, like how exactly I wanted to do them, but figured it out. And I do also like the little shading I did on the, visor part of her eyes, looking really good. Adding some also little sparks around it. And yeah, this was the first one I drew for this, and also I changed the nose color at the end as a suggestion from Fantasy Creed to make it not blend in as much with the hair. Yeah, and she was the first one done for this, and she came out really good. This was also the first thing I did this month. I did it on the daylight savings day, so I got extra time before work to do it. But yeah, our first character furry is done. Let's see what we got next. And our next one will be interesting. Let's see what we can do with this. So, Spawn was who we got next. And immediately, my first thought, even when I saw Spawn was suggested, was I was going to make him a cat. I did almost think about doing a tiger, but I stuck with cat. Why? Because Spawn in the movie, and probably also some stuff like maybe a few games, but it's, Keith David that is Spawn. Or one of the main actors we think of when we think Spawn. And Keith David has at least voiced 2 cat characters, Husk in Hazbin Hotel and the cat in Coraline. I don't know if he's done any other cats, and I wouldn't be surprised, mainly because cats are very, popular, so it's possible there's more cats that he's done. Honestly, I might redo this later also as a tiger version, because I think that could look really good, but Spawn was also kind of the last one I did. Like, I spun them all on the same day, but this was the last one I actually drew. And 100% the biggest issue, pretty much the biggest issue I had, or problem I had, was the cape, just trying to get that to work. I don't know, I guess the references I looked at weren't really that helpful, and I should have figured it out better. But I think a lot of the other parts of it came out really good. It's a very simple-ish pose, but I also put a lot of in parts where it's like you do see like some more fur areas, or like sticking up a little, and also I had a hard time doing like the face mask part of Spawn, trying to get that to look good and how I would want it. He's got a lot of spikes and stuff that, depending on the version or stuff, can just be all over the place in different patterns, so somehow it came out really good. The feet also somehow came out really good. Not in that way. I think the biggest problem with the cape was, there's multiple problems I had with it, so one of it is definitely the parts around the shoulders, but we figured it out eventually, or something close enough. Like also figuring out how I want to color the parts that are, technically white or an off-white, depending on how you want to do it. So it's like a little bit of that. And I used green inside the ears to be a little more interesting, to match also with the eyes. And, had some areas with like green on the edges, mainly just in the red. Right? Mainly just in the red. I'm trying to remember. No, wait, there was also in the black. Trying to I guess is it written lighting? I don't think so. But you know, doing like the green. There isn't really a source really that would have green, but I still did it anyway. And then in the background, put some chains. I tried to put Spawn in there because I put the name in all of them, and I just could not figure a place to work with this piece. But yeah, Spawn I think is kind of the, unfortunately, is somehow was like the weakest of them. But I really do still like it, and I do probably want to try it again, but with a tiger. It's still a cat, so you know, and I think the parts that are, you know, on Spawn that are, you know, white would work really well. But let's go on to our third drawing. Okay, time for the third one. Ooh, that's a good one. Fun fact, Fairy Tail was, I would say, the first anime I watched knowing really what an anime was. That also technically got a little bit hooked on, and then also got the manga for. Not all of it, but a good majority of it. I need to go back to re-watching and reading this at some point. And technically, I did watch some Naruto as a kid with a friend. I just never really counted that. And no, I did not count like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Bakugan, Beatamon, if anyone remembers Beatamon, Digimon. I didn't count those because, like, I don't know, just how they were. Anyone remember Zatch Bell? I also watched a little bit of that, and I also remember that Kyrie's voice actress was in that, and I was like, Evil Kyrie, or something like that. But let's get back to this. Surprisingly, we had like two. We had both Erza and Mira Jane, which does remind me, Mira Jane and Elfman's magic is like, I think, one of my favorites because they can turn into like monsters and demons, and that's just really cool. Plus, Elfman would do it with like, oh, just like the arm, and that was just really cool. Pretty sick and epic. But Erza's like requip was one that I think I like even more. It's really much a toss-up between those two because I like armor. And while, yes, there's some questionable designs with Erza's armor, some of them still look pretty good and normal, while some just look, you know, technically sexy and impractical, but I don't really care that much. There was a spot when I was planning that I might draw her as a bunny because Fairy Tail definitely likes the bunny girl outfit a lot. I don't blame him too much, but still. But I decided on Wolf because I think that would fit her personality a bit more. And I do like how it came out. I do think I like making tails, especially for like dogs and wolf things, very big. Gee, I wonder why. And I did have a little bit of a hard time figuring out how I wanted to pose her arms. Like, I feel like if I was doing something more epic and knew what I was doing and already had like a design planned out, I would probably do like a different like pose. But this was more of just, you know, kind of roughly showing how the design would work. And legs did come out pretty good for not, again, still not knowing how to do like animalist legs and all. And somehow the head still came out really good. I was gonna say, I think, yeah, pretty much most people would probably look at it and be like, yeah, this is Erza. Why is she a wolf though? Because I had a dumb idea and I love how it came out. Yeah. I did stick with like a lighter red for her fur, and then like did like the actual red for her hair and like tail. And then also later on, I did also add like I added some like fur patterns. I tried blue, kind of like her armor, but then I just went with a different shade of red for those fur like patterns. While I did like I tried like a blue and technically a blue and a different blue in like the inner part of the ears. And then I changed to purple and like a lightish pink color. Now remembering that I got the colors for like the ears and technically the fur, or at least like the lighter part of the fur, from one of her armors. I don't remember which one, but it's like pink and also has some purple, and that's why. And I decided to use that because it makes sense to use like some of her armor colors for this. And I guess I didn't mention it till now that I decided just to stick with her normal armor from like the first seasons, arcs, I don't know, before the time skip for sure. Before the first time skip. Mainly because this was the armor I watched when we had Funimation channel, because that's the channel that got me hooked on anime. Getting that in high school was a mistake almost. That and finding Red vs. Blue, which then led to find Ruby and Let's Play. It was a downhill spiral. It was also around the same time we found Danganronpa and later Nico B. So good and bad times at the same time. I don't remember all the armor names. I think Heaven's Wheel was the kind of like the main one people would think of that isn't just her default one. So I'd probably sometime I would willing to do that with this. And I forgot what it's called, but it has like black wings and all. There's a few that like 100% I would definitely do. Like the one that's just like the pants and like the bandages around her chest. That one's really good. I like that. I have a pop for that one. Erza came out really good. I would technically put her as the second best one, with Uzi being the top. Our next one being third and Spawn being last. And who knows, I might draw some of the other armors. I might draw her in some of the other armors. But let's see who our last character is. One more spin for our final character. An interesting one. Let's see what we can do. So, G1 Ironhide. Honestly, a fun one. Random. It's just kind of funny to get. Don't you think? Probably. I don't know. Though, we have two robot characters in this. And it kind of both started and ended this. While I'm more familiar with Energon's Ironhide, because, well, that is the one that I grew up more so. I grew up more so on the Unicon trilogy. I did grow up on the movie, the original movie. So yeah, there's also like a split second you see Ironhide, but yeah. And like I've said with some of the other ones, I did think, mainly I thought dog or wolf. And yeah, that would make sense, but I also decided, what would be funny? And I thought it would be really funny to draw him as a rabbit. There were parts where it's kind of hard to figure it out, but, you know, eventually got there. And I think the ears did come out really good. Still need more practice on it. The one thing I can 100% say is I think I made the body a little too thin. Not only just because the fact that it's Ironhide, the name alone should be a little more bulky, but also because like Transformers should be a little more bulkier. I think I mixed it up. I probably should have said that Transformers should be a little bit more bulkier, depending on, you know, of course, if it's who it is and all, because some would be definitely more bulkier, all others wouldn't. Like, I would say animated Bumblebee would be more like the body shape I gave this, while most other versions of Bumblebee would be should be more bulky, and Ironhide should also have been more bulky. But it still somehow worked pretty good, I think. The only thing is, in the end, it kind of looks like I turned Ironhide into a femboy bunny, which is very funny to me, and I will call it a happy little accident. Or curse. Who knows? There was also some troubles with trying to figure out the pose and trying to figure out like some shapes and like the arms if I want it to be or feel more like it should be like blocks or rectangles or just more like shapes. And then also some areas for some reason have kind of like the fur texture while others don't. Doesn't make sense. Not entirely. Does it look good? To me, it does. Shading was hard in some areas, not so much in others. Honestly, it was probably one of the more simple colors because it's just like free colors. Maybe, well, 4 colors. Occasionally, like maybe using like a white or black somewhere. And yes, again, still very thin, very femboy-like, and still very much like it. Some people might not like it. I don't care. I like it. And also, definitely do think like the shading worked really good in the part that technically turns into like the windshield, and then also the ears. The fact that this would somehow still turn into like a van is kind of very funny to me. But yeah, I very much still love how this came out. It's very funny, but it's, I feel, a bit on brand here in some way. And that was turning these characters into furries. Thank you all for suggesting the characters. The wheel decided we would be cursed with these 4, and I'm very much actually proud of how they came out. It's kind of funny. And this is like the first actual art of November made. Like the Pokemon one was made technically in the last days of December. This is the first actual art we made, and it's somehow really, really good. Hopefully I don't lose that many people from this. I'll probably gain some people. But I do honestly kind of like doing some of these more anthropomorphic characters. Disney Robin Hood is one of my favorite movies, so 100% willing to do more of these. But what did you think of them? Let me know in the comments. And honestly, we'll probably possibly do more of these in the future. I'll probably, this time though, I'll actually be like, hey, we're going to be doing this. Not being all sneaky that not even the other group knew until like, I think Kingpin said he didn't figure it out till like the third drawing, which is kind of weird when the files, the image files all say what the plan is. But yeah, there's more of some of this stuff I'm willing to try first, probably on here. Maybe, depending on stuff, we might try it on a different channel, but we will see. But if you also liked what you saw, then leave a like and subscribe to join our growing little Arcane town to be in the know for future videos, random ideas like this, and polls. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later!